Hey everyone, welcome to Ellis Mowers. I appreciate y'all watching as always. I have a customer that's come in with a Snapper rear engine rider from 2015 or so. The thing's hardly been used. I think he bought it from a guy who used it to cut around his pool area because, you know, the fences and everything, and then bought it for his son who is mentally handicapped to use around the yard, and they never used it. So he has asked if I could get it fixed and get it ready for sale for him. Since it is in good condition, I figured that y'all would enjoy this video because this thing right here is built cheap compared to those old Snappers, and I'll show you kind of why I think that's the case for this one as well. And we'll see what we can do to get everything fixed and back going properly on this mower. So let's go ahead and get started. So I haven't really given this thing a good run through, whatever. So we're going to kind of go together here with it. I do know that he got his left front tire fixed. The right front tire actually needs a valve stem. I tried to pump it up, but the valve stem was cracked on it. So this came from an equipment sales in Raleigh. I live about an hour north of Raleigh. Got dirt gobber nest in the key switch, so I don't know if it's turning the ignition far enough for it to engage. We'll find that out in a minute. But just a weird setup here with the fenders and stuff. It's a lot different. It's still all metal, but it's just a lot different than what it used to be. The battery in it, I'll have to show you, but it doesn't even have, like, you know, like some of these are the smaller overhead valve Intech style engines. This isn't even an Intech engine. This is one of them glorified push mower engines put on this thing for a 28-inch cut deck. So this is probably one of those lower level ones. Gosh, I feel like this thing will be struggling for power. We're going to find out once we get it fixed, but this thing has not been used much. I mean, you can see all the oil is pretty much brand new. We'll check the air filter while we're here, because I have a feeling I'm going to have to do some gas drainage on this thing in order for it to run. But you can see it's built like the professional push mowers. So the air filter's in, it's a little dirty, but I've got one of these at home, or here actually, that I got for like $3 at Walmart. It's a little dirty, but like, is it dirty enough to the point where we need to replace it? I don't think so. Like I said, I think the gas smells a little rough in it. I don't even know if it's getting down to the yeah, it smells pretty bad. But there's not much in it, so maybe I can dilute it with some of the newer gas without having to drain the tank out. We'll see. But he's not lying. What does it say? 130405, so it was a 2013, so it's a little bit older. That's pretty typical. People think that, oh, my mower's only 2 years old. Well, gosh, it's 10. He was only a couple of years off. And really and truthfully, it could have been bought in 2015. So, other thing I noticed is that the parking brake is snapped off. And let me show you the battery. So why can't people just put a 12-volt lawn and garden battery in a lawnmower? I've seen the new Hustler zero turns. I know somebody who's got a Hustler zero turn mower that's got one of these type batteries in it. I guess they're supposed to be 12-volt batteries. Yeah, it's a 12-volt battery, but I can't get this thing to charge to more than about 9. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw it in there and throw a jump pack on it and maybe throw some fresh gas in it just to see if it'll crank. So like I said, we'll see what we got here. But the battery's pretty easy to put in. It's just got a Phillips head screwdriver. It's got these little bitty baby terminals on it. And we just put the battery, I guess, right here. I'll do that right here in a second. So I was a little skeptical about doing this, but lawn and garden battery fits in here just fine. So I put that in, and we're in good shape. One little quirk about this key switch, and I don't know why it's like this, but I mean, it works fine. You have to physically push down the key switch in order to start it. So it kind of makes me think that the thing got abused at one point. But I'll show you this. So if you try and crank it over, it won't, but when you push the switch down and try and crank it, tries to start up, you see? So it's got the auto choke on it, and I think it's got, I just don't think it's got any gas going into it. So whatever's in there is not very good, but I don't think it's a lot, so I'm gonna put a little bit of gas in it. Just to kind of dilute it some. Throw a little carb spray in the throat. I just want to see if it'll fire over for us. Alright. Oil is good. I've checked it already. Not getting anything. Try this again. So it's not getting anything. Let me pull the plug and let me see what that condition looks like. It may have a little bit of water in it. It might just have some bad gas, or who knows. Probably a clogged jet, but we'll get down there to it. I just want to hear it fire first, and then once it fires, then I know what I need to do. Alright, y'all, this is kind of interesting. So the ohm meter is reading 4 ohms at the coil and then at the wire down here. So I know it's not that. I don't think I have multiple bad spark plugs, and I'm not getting any spark on my spark tester, so that kind of leads me to believe that something's going on with the coil that's causing it to not spark. My guess is I got a bunch of rust on it, and so what I'm going to do is just take it off, clean the rust on the flywheel, clean the rust on the These are 12 mils, by the way. Clean the rust on the flywheel, clean the rust on the magneto, put it back together, hope it works. So that's what I'm in the process of doing now. Let's just take a look at it. So there's a fair amount of rust on there, but I mean, I've seen much worse. But I just gonna grab a wire brush and just kind of graze all around that. Graze on this a little bit, and I'll be with y'all in just a second. I'll tell y'all, these safeties are gonna get me one day. This one right here, you gotta be sitting on the seat to start it. So I don't know. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna press down the seat switch and then turn it on, and you'll see the spark, hopefully. I mean, you can see the spark now. I mean, it's pretty obvious. So here's what I'm gonna do. See if I can get it to turn over for us. With fresh fluid. Okay, that's good. So we know it'll run, so I can go ahead and put the covers and stuff back on it. As you can tell, it's probably got some bad gas in it somewhere because it's not staying running. But that's okay. I figured we were going to have to do a carb clean on this. So that's good. So let me go ahead and get the covers and stuff back on it, and then we'll kind of see what condition this gas is in when we drop the bowl of the carburetor here. And there's some evidence as to how bad it is. It's a bunch of varnish and stuff, so we'll see what we can do with it. But at least we know that it runs. Well, the good news is you got such a small engine on this big mower, and so I should have easy time getting this bolt off. So I'm going to loosen it. I've already purged the old gas out of the tank. I just think it's going to be very varnished fuel. We'll see. You can see it coming out now. I don't think these have a main jet like the Quantums and stuff. I think their jets are internal. Not 100% sure though. Let's see. No, I was going the right way. See what we've got going on here. Well, if I can get it off, I didn't think it was going to take this long, guys. Sorry. It's one of those that wants to turn until you... It wants to turn freely until you turn your fingers with it. There we go. Oh, this is jetted. I didn't realize that. Okay. So there, you see it's pretty varnished. Let's see if I can get the bowl off on here. Huh. Okay. So the varnish is right there as well. Might be able to clean this out just with some wires and whatnot. Instead of taking the whole carb and linkages and stuff off. My guess is that we've got fuel flow down into the carb. Do I? No, okay. So I'll go ahead and take the carb off. I know I've got free flow. So on the side of the carb, yeah, it's going to be a little rough because of the access in the back, but I may be able to come from this side and make it a little bit easier. Let me show you real quick. So it's 5/16 right there, and 5/16 right there to disconnect the throttle. That'll take this cover off, and then we'll work on the linkages next. Alright y'all, it's a little bit difficult because of lighting and access, but there's a second set of 5/16 inch screws or bolts that you have to take off, which I'm taking off now. And what that does is it disconnects, so the first set disconnects the air filter from the carburetor, and then the second set disconnects this little plate, throttle plate from the carburetor, which will take off the spring from there. That frees that plate up, so we'll just put that aside for right now. And then we'll take these linkages, which I think it'll be easier to take the throttle linkage off first. And then the choke linkage, auto choke linkage. So this mower doesn't have a choke, it just has the, just stand by guys. Come on. There we go. So it has the auto choke just like most push mowers. You can see that we're in pretty rough shape. The needle's actually stuck in the seat there, or in its hole. So what I'm just going to do, I'm going to grab maybe a little bit of, grab my little tray and grab some WD-40 or whatever and clean it out, warm up the ultrasonic, get this ultrasonic cruising on with a little bit of carb cleaner as well. Get this ultrasonic going and see what we can do with it. At least it's pretty warm in here already, so it won't take much to clean it. But I've got this, which I'll just spray out with some carb spray. We'll keep the seal in. I'll throw a little bit of WD-40 down here to see if we can get this loosened up some. And then we'll see what we can do about the jets and everything, just to spray them up, just kind of pre-lube everything so that the ultrasonic can do its magic a little bit easier. Obviously I've got the main jet over there that's clogged up pretty bad that I'm going to work on as well. Throw it through a couple of cycles, and then hopefully we'll get this thing back running, which will then only leave me with that tire, and we'll be in good shape after that. Alright guys, I did 2 cycles in the ultrasonic cleaner. I wanted to show you what the carb ended up looking like. The jet, I think you can see, is clear now. There you go. The float, wasn't really nothing wrong with it. That's just dust from where I've got it sitting in that pan. And the carb is pretty darn good. Just a couple of rust areas at the top where those Welsh plugs are. But everything I can tell, the jets are good. We got most of the junk out of the needle in the seat area there. So hopefully this thing won't leak gas into the crankcase. So now it's just a matter of me just putting the carb back together, and then I'll show you the reassembly of it before we try and crank this thing up and see if we can get it running. Alright y'all, let me see what I can do in terms of showing you all this. Because this is one of the, I guess you can call it, more complicated carburetors to put on. Just because you got kind of like a 2-piece deal going on. So I'm gonna get this air filter out of the way, kind of get this plate set up. So first thing I'm going to do, carb's gonna attach like this. I'll go ahead and put the auto choke on, which is this hole. And it's got a weird twisted way of getting on there, so we'll get it on there though. Okay, so that's on there. Now we'll turn this around and put the throttle linkage on. And the carburetor passed the blow suck test, which means that it should be good. So we're going to take these two tapered screws here, go ahead and feed the first one through the carb, and then feed it through this mounting plate. I'll get a couple of threads in, and then I'll mount the one on the other side, which I'm going to go to the other side of the mower to do. Alright, let me get my 5/16 and we'll put those in. After we do that, we'll put the spring, this little spring back on. Hopefully the light's good enough for y'all to see, and hopefully my hands and head are not getting in the way too much. Got this, y'all kind of see the plate a little bit more than anything now, huh? Can't get y'all any lower, unfortunately. So I got y'all pretty tight down here. So we're just screwing these on. You could get an impact or a ratchet, especially because there's a bunch of room to work in here. But again, just make sure that you don't strip out the bolts, because that would be very bad. So now I'll go ahead and put this spring on, like I mentioned, back onto the carb, and it goes right here beside the throttle. So that's there. Now I'll grab the other two screws and we'll put this plate back on. Just line it up with the carb holes. Oh, where are they? Down here. Hopefully y'all can see this alright. I know it's a little dark. And I got the camera at a very tight spot, so Now because this engine is so small on this chassis, it's really not bad to work on. Go ahead and hook the fuel line back up while we're here. That goes on that side of the carburetor. Alright. That fuel line actually hooks in. Let me make sure that I'm in all the way. I'll unhook my pliers that I had on here. And now I'll hook the fuel line back into this, because that's where it was. Well, I will after I get the camera out of the way. I'll hook that fuel line back up. I've got to hook the throttle back up as well. So find where, I guess where you had it pinched originally, which would have been right here. Hook it into the throttle linkage. I guess that would be right there, wouldn't it? Yep, looks right. We'll just hook that back up. I don't know if I could put it in there like that, but we'll see. Very delicate because you don't want to. The last thing you want to do is strip out that hole right there, because then you've got to figure out how you're going to do your throttle after that. There we go. Okay. Now tighten that up. Adjust if necessary. Y'all can just barely see that on the end, can't you? And I might be too far. Let's see. Well, that's about right. Cool. So, like I said, I'll put this fuel on here, move y'all out of the way, and we'll give this thing a start. I don't see any leaks, which is good. Alright, y'all, I finished the install and all that. So, let me crank it up, see how she runs. I think she'll run pretty good. Huh. Interesting. Getting better. Starting to smooth out some. That's good. Honestly, I think this thing just needs some run time. A little bit of Seafoam, small engine pro, whatever. But, man, you can smell it ain't been running in a while, though, because it's got some, you can smell the gas coming out of it. So, unfortunately, I can't hold the battery down, but it is tight. And I think the guy would rather have a lawn and garden battery in it than that little bitty motorcycle battery. And I'm just going to save him some cash, too. He's going to have a better battery while we're at it. So, park brake. I don't know if he's going to want me to take the part to fix this, because this right here is broken off the back of it. And it's supposed to mount up there. But, I can try putting it on, but I doubt that I'll be able to. Plus, it's weird because it won't start unless you sit on the seat anyway. So, what I might do is I might throw the park brake on it, let it run for a little bit, and go get a tire, or go get a valve stem for that front tire. Alright guys, I used a ratchet strap and just strapped it around this tire. It was really easy to seat the bead. Got my valve stem and just took the valve stem tool, fed it in from the back. I just pushed the tire back as far as I could, fed the valve stem in, took this end right here and literally just pulled it through until it's sealed, and got that tire back. So that's good. What I'm going to do is I'm going to crank it up and get it out here in the open, and we're just going to kind of cruise it up and down the just going to give it some run time, maybe 15 minutes or so. It's so clean, I don't really want to cut the grass with it. So let me get it out here and we'll just run it around a little bit and see what we can manage. This thing is a huge pain to turn at this point, because I don't know what it is that's causing it to bind up, but it's really hard. And the thing is, there's no grease points on this thing, so like literally I cannot turn it with one hand. Kind of sucks. seriously just need to let it run a little bit. I mean, this thing is impossible to turn hard. Running a little better. I'm gonna turn it off here, but I'm just gonna set something on the stool here or the seat just so that the safety will work, and just let it run for maybe about 15 minutes or so. See if I can clear some of that, maybe that remaining junk out. I did clean the carb out I did clean the fuel lines out until I saw fresh fuel coming down. So I think it's just got a little bit of residual maybe in the tank, maybe a little bit of water got in it somehow. But all the functions of it work, save for the parking brake. But the thing is just incredibly difficult to steer, and I don't understand why. And the thing that sucks is there's no grease points whatsoever on this thing. So it's not like I can grease anything in order to make it turn easier, which is just makes me, it doesn't make me upset, but it is a little upsetting though, that like it's literally so hard to turn, you can hardly even turn it. You gotta like muscle it around with two hands. So like I said, I'm gonna give it some run time and see if it gets any better engine wise. If not, I might do like a little quick drain of the carburetor. Maybe there's just a tiny bit of water that got into it. So I'll catch y'all with the final look of this thing. But in the grand scheme of things, we got everything fixed. Tire, we did the whole deal with the carburetor. Then obviously we've got the battery here that we just put that type of battery in the lawn and garden instead of the other battery. So we're good on that. And like I said, I'm just gonna let this thing run for a little bit. See if I can clear it out and make it run a little bit better. All right, y'all. So I've let it run a little bit, and I'm gonna. I got the cinder block on there so that the safety switch works, because you have to be on the mower with the park brake down in order for it to even start for some reason. But like I said, the steering is still very hard. And that's the reason why, is just simply because it was shut up for a few years and not used, and now we're moving parts that haven't been moved in years, and it's causing that. So let's see if it cranks up. I know it was running a little bit better after I ran it a little while earlier. Much better than it was. Still got a little bit of a mess, but right here, let me turn the blades on. Looks like a little bit of water in the fuel. Still doesn't really want to run right. But still running. I'm gonna let it sit overnight and see. And drive it around a little bit more, see if it smooths out a little bit, and then we'll check it tomorrow. If it still seems to check out okay, we'll let it roll. If not, then I might drain whatever is in the carb bowl, because I think it might have a little bit of water in there. But whatever it is, it should be pretty minor in order to get it back going full tilt again, hopefully. Alright, y'all, it sounds like it's running better now. I just kind of purged a little bit of the fuel that was in the carb bowl by loosening the bowl nut. Just drained a little bit of gas out, and then I tried another spark plug. It seemed to do nothing on the first startup, but the second one it did. Let's see what it does now. See, it's not stumbling like it was. Alright, y'all, so we'll end up finishing this video right here. Y'all saw it. The thing is, like, the steering on it is, there's no area to lubricate or grease or anything like that. And it's harder than all get out to steer. That's because like, there's no grease points or anything because it's been sitting up for a while. So whenever they get it back, they're gonna have to ride it a little bit. I've already lubed it up once, and it still hasn't gotten much better. But at least I'm able to turn it more than I did. So you don't let mowers sit up, especially cheap mowers like this. I hate to call it a cheap Snapper rear engine rider, but truthfully, that's what it is. You have a glorified push mower engine on the back of it. You've got no grease points at all on it. The rest of the mower seems like it's built okay, but still, Briggs did not really follow through on these, keeping up the quality. That's why you don't see many of them around anymore, amongst other reasons. But this was probably the bargain basement one, since it was a 28-inch deck. The deck's still decently thick, and it's still a high-back deck, so at least it's got that going for it. It doesn't pop wheelies, so they must have did something with the drive disc to make it not pop wheelies anymore. But let me know what y'all think. So I've got this one, and I've got another one in there. Y'all seen many older Snapper rear engine riders. Let me know what y'all think about these newer ones. I'm not really a huge fan because of, I mean, you put a glorified push mower engine on a 28-inch riding mower. I haven't cut any grass with it. I don't want to cut any grass with it because it's in very good shape otherwise, but just not for me, y'all. Especially with the grease fittings and how hard it is to steer just after 5 years and a little bit of rust on it, on the steering, which isn't that much. Just not really pleased by it. But thank y'all again for watching. I hope y'all enjoyed the video, me getting this back running again. Obviously we didn't fix the park brake, but
You can't even ride with the park brake, or you can't even start it with the park brake on and being off the mower, so it doesn't really matter anyways. Can't even get off the mower when I set the park brake manually in here. So safety switches abound, right? So anyways, thank y'all for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. See you on the next one.